Hello and welcome. This is the Market Wrap. I am Agam Vakil. We're looking at the benchmark indices closing in the green, but don't let that fool you. We have seen both the Nifty and the Sensex end the day at the lowest point. So the Nifty has advanced by just as much as 19 points right now. And among the key gainers, we have Bharti Airtel right at the top, up as much as 32.2%, and Bajaj Finance, Grasim Industries and Ultratech among some others which have advanced in trade. On the losing end, a lot of this weakness, should I say, in the last half an hour or so has come on account of Tata Steel declining after one of its shareholders raised concerns with respect to its deal with ThyssenKrupp. UPL, HCL Technologies and Power Grid among others which have seen some weakness. Again, when it comes to the advanced decline ratio, that continues to be positive for now, but we must remember it had deteriorated in the last half an hour of trade. And in there, we've had gainers with Alembic Pharma, Jacob, Coffee Day Enterprises and PC Jeweler. On the losing end, we have the likes of 8K Miles down at 5.5%. Quality hitting another lower circuit of 5%. JBF Industries the same. Bhushan Steel along with CRISIL showing some amount of weakness. What can we make of these moves, and specifically perhaps the rest of the day compared to just the last 1 hour of trade? Let's bring in a perspective here. We have Neeraj Shah joining us to give us an idea about what could have possibly been the reason behind that.
Yeah, we were scratching our heads on the show, right, as to why is it that this happened, because the world market seemed to be an okay place.
Right.
But maybe too much to guess. One thing that I think when we started the show, we were asking Hemant Kapadia, our guest, about whether this move seems just too much too soon for the last 4 sessions, and maybe some bit of profit booking was anyways due, and maybe the market participants chose a reason. But there are 3 crucial global outcomes that could well impact trade.
Right.
So might make sense for approaching all of these 3 with a slightly cautious thing. I know people are not attaching as much of importance, at least out here, to the ECB as opposed to the other 2. But believe me, ECB fundamentally too, as I'm sure you also know,
right.
Very, very crucial. So let's wait and watch. It'll be interesting to see what happens on the options activity today, Agam. In Friday's session, heightened options activity, I believe some bit of hedges being taken place as well.
Right.
Let's wait and watch what happens. And lastly, a fair bit of FPI buying in last week was courtesy the kind of buying that came into HDFC Bank,
right,
out of the limit that opened up. We don't quite know whether that will last in such a volatile week also or no. So if the FI selling gets heightened a bit in a manner of speaking over this week, then we're not particularly trading at cheap levels. So from a trading perspective, could we see a pullback? Let's wait and watch. Yeah,
absolutely. And as you put it, well, the central bank action is going to be very crucial for global cues and thereby for our markets as well. Neeraj, thanks.
How's the FNO bit looking there?
Neeraj, at the end of the day, we saw a lot of traction build around the 10,700 and 10,600 mark. So those levels are expected to be defended, at least in the near-term basis. Again, I'm going to wait out for the Power copy to come in and give me an idea of the open interest. But that is what I've witnessed through the course of the day. And of course, at the upper level, we're looking at 11,000. That's still a bit far off from current market levels. So again, I think the most important levels for now is 10,600 and 700 in the near term based on open interest activity that we witness. So
let's wait and watch.
Yes, absolutely. Neeraj, again, thanks for bringing us those details. But what does it mean for levels that we can get an eye on? Well, let's get a technical perspective here. We have Hemant Kapadia joining us to give us an idea about what levels we can watch out for when it comes to the Nifty and the Bank Nifty. Hemant?
I think like you mentioned, Agam, maximum open interest is 10,600, 11,000. Last week's high was 10,818 Nifty spot.
Right.
I thought 10,820 was important. We went to 10,850, didn't sustain. I think this is a small negative. The weekly structure is good, Agam, and I think, like you said, 10,600 should be protected. It's far away as of now,
right.
But I think what we are around 49 lakhs open interest. Like you said, we'll look at the Bhav copy. But if we don't sustain about 10,820 in the next couple of trading sessions, I think it's a small spot of bother. The VIX moving up, obviously there are a few event risks coming in, Agam. That was also a small spot of bother. And if you look at a very short term view, on the hourly charts, the MACD is given a crossover sell. So frankly speaking, whatever built up that we saw today has more or less been washed out.
Right.
And if we don't take out 10,820, I think we are for some trouble down the corner. Not too much, but little.
Right. And Hemant, the Bank Nifty is at 26,450. What's the view here?
I think 26,300 is important, and frankly speaking, there's been this underperformance, Agam, because we went to 27,100 odd. Nifty made a new high compared to those levels for the bank Nifty, and we're nowhere near there.
Right.
Being close, we're almost 700 points away. So that underperformance is a drag on the Nifty. I think the PSU banks have sort of managed to sustain the bank Nifty a bit. They look a bit better. But if the bank Nifty doesn't participate and we don't close above 10,820, I think there is a little bit of turbulence around the corner. And if the bank Nifty breaks 26,300, Agam, in the near term, a 200-point fall could trigger off the Nifty going down some more. And more importantly, Reliance has come off from 1,000. I think we've seen a small peak coming in. We've gone up 10%. So I don't think Reliance makes a high in the next 3 days. So looking at everything, I think we have some resistance at higher levels.
Okay, or some resistance at higher level. Hemant, thanks for joining us and bringing us those details. Well, speaking of the Nifty, we're going to talk about one stock that had a substantial bearing on the way we've seen, the index pan down, and that's Tata Steel. We have Nikki Mirchandani joining us to tell us about what's really gone down with Tata Steel right now, Nikki.
So the Tyson Group merger deal, which seems to be under threat right now, given that the activist and the shareholder Elliott has urged the Tyson Group to negotiate a better deal with Tata Steel, given the kind of valuation and the business performance difference that the two companies are witnessing right now. It highlights that the weakness in Tata's recent performance means that the tie-up is less favorable now for Tyson Group. Elliott has also pointed that if for 50-50, had it been for 50-50 joint venture, then Tata Steel should pay in. If not for 50-50 joint venture, the calculation suggests that in the JV, Tyson Group should hold as much as 82% and the rest 18% will be held by Tata Steel. Also, there is one more shareholder, which is in fact the second largest shareholder, Seven Capital, which has a 15% stake in the company. Tyson Group has shared somewhat similar view, and Elliott in a letter to the Tyson Group has also mentioned that it sees a valuation shift and at least a valuation coming down by as much as euro 1.9 billion less if the initial plans were to be worked out. JP Morgan also had a note earlier somewhere in May 23rd where it highlighted the essence of this deal in order to deleverage for the company and focus back on its Indian business. It also said that if this deal doesn't go through, then this will definitely be negative and investors would see this negatively, and both Tata Steel and Thyssen Group, the board approvals for the deal is for the first half of this calendar year.
All right, Nikki. Well, thanks for joining us and bringing us those details. And we're going to conclude by addressing just one more stock, which was up in trade, and that's Alembic Pharma. Of course, some good news coming through. We have Darshan Mehta joining us to give us an idea about what's going on. Darshan?
Yeah, so what happened was it received an approval, US FDA approval for one of the key drugs, bupropion hydrochloride tablets. Now, it's not that big, the market size of this drug is $37 million. But what exactly has happened is that, the approval that they got was from the Panilau plant. It's the largest API facility that they have. And currently, there were some inspections that happened. They got a Form 483 with some observations. This approval actually proves that, there's nothing wrong with the plant and all is well for Alembic Pharma. So that was the main reason why Alembic Pharma did manage to react. Alembic Limited, the holding company of Alembic Pharma, which owns significant, almost more than 3 crore shares in the company, that too managed to rally almost more than 10% today.
All right, Darshan, thanks for bringing us those details. Watch out for Alembic Pharma as well. But with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the Market Wrap. But lots more lined up, so stay tuned in the Bloomberg Quint and we'll keep bringing you more.